Attachment is the root of all suffering. The Buddha. There is a law that governs everything in the universe. A law so subtle that most can only chalk up its effects up to coincidence. Has it ever happened to you that the more you kept checking something, insisting on something, waiting for that deal to close or money to come in, you keep checking your email or your bank account, but the more you check, the further away it seems to get? But then, when all of a sudden you totally forget about it, innocently check your phone, you receive the notification that it has been done, the money came in, the email that you're waiting for is there. This is the law in full operation, the law of unattachment. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to use the law of unattachment to get anything you want, but in particular, how once I fully mastered the law of unattachment, it allowed me to build a business that makes me over $1 million every single year. Let's get started. In order to master the law of unattachment, we have to understand three main things. Number one, understanding importance. Number two, understanding the quality of our attention. And finally, understanding the crucial difference between faith and belief. Because there's a huge misunderstanding around what faith is and what belief is. And because of this misunderstanding, people can't fully commit to faith, they move towards belief. So once you understand this, this is the key that is going to make the shift happen for you. So let's start with importance. So when we place something on a pedestal, kind of like here, when we place something on a pedestal, we create an energetic vacuum. Basically, when I put money on a pedestal, I worship money, like money runs everything. Oh, when I have money, then I can do this. When I make this amount of money a month, then I can do this. We have all of these conversations with ourselves about what we could do if and when we do have the money. I used to be this way too. And when money was in plenty, I felt good. When money was in lack, I felt bad. My emotional state was directly tied to money. Okay? So when that happens, we become slave to that thing, and that thing runs our life. That is a terrible way to live. If you want to create something in your life, you cannot create from a place of reaction and enslavement. I'm going to say that one more time. If you want to create something, you cannot come from a place of reaction. You have to become proactive. You have to be at the cause and not the effect. If you are at the effect of money, of women or men or relationships, whatever it is, okay, you will always be run by that thing. You won't be able to create. You won't tap into that creative faculty, okay? The reason why that is twofold. Number one, in pertaining to importance, we have this quality called inner importance, when something about us becomes too important. For example, I have a client who believed that he needs to be confident and he needs to be a certain way before he can be worthy enough to deserve the management consulting job that he was looking for. Okay? And he believed, in the past I wasn't confident and I flubbed all of these opportunities at interviews and, I wasn't good enough. That's a belief that he has, an idea that he holds to be true. When in reality, there are people who are less intelligent than you, who are making way more money than you are. Why? Because they allow themselves to experience that. You're not allowing yourself to experience something because you believe you have to be a certain way in order to experience it. When I am this way, then I will experience it. And why do you believe that? Because you fucking go on social media and Instagram and you look at all of these people and how they are and how you're not like them, and you try to copy them and you try to be like them and you look at them to see how you should live your life, right? That's in a nutshell what's happening. These are called pendulums. There are pendulums all around us that try to suck our energy, kind of like what's happening in this instance, and how when you worship money or anything you put on a pedestal, any personal quality you have about yourself or anything external, your outer importance, some goal, some deal you want to close, or some relationship you desperately want to work out. The more you put it on a pedestal, guess what's happening? This thing called life that once used to be a fun game now becomes very, very serious for you. Now, you're no longer embodying a character and playing a game. You are the character and you are the game. Anything happens in the game, it directly affects your self-worth because you're so deeply identified with it. There's a reason all of these ancient sages call this world Maya, or the illusion. And they always talk about disidentifying from the world and disidentifying from this character, taking a step back. It's because right now you're wearing a mask and you don't even know it. You have become the mask. So anything that happens affects you. Imagine what would happen if the characters in a play all of a sudden woke up and they realized they were in a play. What would happen?
You're lying. Where's my rent?
Where's my rent? You're not my landlord.
No. That's your line.
Yeah. Hey, where's my rent?
None of the events that happen in that game would affect them. Why do you think there are certain characters who had a tough time, like Heath Ledger, who inevitably ended up taking his own life after that role of Joker? He couldn't step out of character. He became the character. He was so deeply entrenched in it. He couldn't take a step back and find himself. His identity became that of the Joker, which inevitably led him to taking his own life, okay? So this is what happens to us when we become deeply identified with money, the thing that we put on a pedestal, or the quality that we have about ourselves. But also we invite these external forces to start controlling us like puppets. So like when we go on social media, these pendulums, collective energetic forces, they want to suck your energy so that they can get stronger and stronger. Your attention is what's being monetized here. They capitalize on your attention. And by the way, these structures form spontaneously without any interference of your own. So the effect is twofold here. When you put something on a pedestal, whether it's a personal quality, and by the way, when I talk about pedestalization, I'm not just talking about putting it above you. I'm also talking about putting it under you when you feel like you're too good for something, right? If you feel like you're too superior to something, life will come in and try to balance out that imbalance you have just created with your mental energy, okay? Anytime I either put something on a pedestal or I bring something below me, I create an imbalance. But for most people in relationship to their goals, the goal is always higher up. Oh, you know, if I achieve this, my life would be so wonderful. If I started making 20K a month, my life would be so great. Your life is great now. Live as though you are making the money, and the money will show up when you least expect it. The law of detachment. Okay? So, what's the key that helps you get out of that mode where everything is so serious? Anything that you're going through right now is just so serious. Everything is life or death. Everything is a battle. Every single day you're just fighting and fighting and fighting. Your business isn't going well. Your love life isn't going well. You're stressed. You're overworking. You're underfed. You're underpampered. How can you get into a mode where you don't put everything on a pedestal? The shift is simple. You have to realize that you're playing a game because you've forgotten it. Initially, when you started up a business, the idea was fun. You're going to play this fun game within life called business, okay? Or you're going to play this fun game in life called the game of relationships or whatever it is that you're playing. And all of a sudden, somewhere along the way, you've just become so identified with the results. You've forgotten that this is a game. And so when you have a bad day, it affects you a lot more than it used to in the past because, in the past when you started off, you had no expectation, right? But now you've become identified with making a certain amount of money, and when you don't make that amount of money, all of a sudden it affects you so much and it leads you to making bad decisions. And because of your importance level to yourself and to the world around you, you sabotage yourself. You get in your own way. Your highest faculties can't be tapped into when you're in this state of being attached to something that you're putting on a pedestal. So the key is to treat it like a game and that you are embodying a character. We're creating a space, a separation between I am, the highest self that I am, the self that is beyond all definition, the self that is beyond all conceptions and perceptions, the self that is the highest, the God self. We are unattaching that from this physical bodily character, which is a set of ideas that we've collected from our childhood and what our friends told us and what we choose to believe, and the game that we're playing, okay? For me, this big realization came when I got a little bit of business success. I started to make 100K a month, and I started to publicly tell people that, oh yeah, I'm making $100,000 a month, it's great. But then what would happen is initially I saw that there were certain months I wasn't making 100K a month, and that would make me panic. Be like, oh no, I'm fake. I feel fake now that I'm not making 100K a month. Oh, I need to get back up to that level because that's my identity that I've created for myself. But the reality is in business, you don't have consistent $100,000 or like whatever it is that you want to aim. It's not always like that. There's fluctuations, but the average, it averages out. But the initial beginner business owner mind couldn't see that. It thought, oh, it should always be like this. Fuck, I gotta fight to make it like this. And this identification created a lot of stress, a lot of struggle in my life. And it took me a long time to get over it and to be able to admit, you know what, it's okay. It's okay that you're not going to make $100,000 every month. Some months you're going to make $200,000. Some months you're going to make less than $100,000. Maybe it's going to be 80 grand a month. But you have to look at the averages, right? So we have a lot of salespeople who are like, oh no, I should be closing 30% close rate. You're not going to be doing that every single month. What you perform at your peak is dictated by a lot of other things that are outside of your control, your direct control. Okay? Some months you're going to close 40, 50%. Other months you're going to close 10, 20%. You just have to look at the 3-month, 6-month, 1-year average and what your historical performance has been and how you can improve that. Okay? When I started to treat my business like a game and it didn't become so personal, everything changed for me because I was able to look at it as, oh, I'm just playing this fun game where I make these amazing YouTube videos that I'm really passionate about. I put them out there and they get views, and when they get views, even if they don't, I know I'm just sharing my message and doing the best that I can. So I can genuinely show up from that place of creativity and inspiration. That is what brings the results in. But for you, you're not able to do that. You're not able to show up from the purest place because you are not having fun. You're trying to manipulate an outcome. You're coming from a place of force and not power. Just look at anything that you want in your life right now. How serious is it? You're so darn serious about life. So stop being so darn serious about life and learn to treat it like what it is, a game. You're just playing this game. You won't be playing this game forever. I might not be making YouTube videos forever. Heck, next month I might just say, I'm going to stop making videos. Maybe it's unlikely, but it could happen. You know, whatever is right for me is what I'm going to follow. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that because you are not bound by any definition. You're only bound by what you have chosen for yourself. Okay? So the biggest realization that I want you to take away from this is whenever you start to forget that you're playing a game, whether this be with your business, your career, whatever it is, you have to show yourself, you have to snap yourself out of it and show yourself that it's a game. Otherwise, your importance level will be too high. You're going to create imbalance with your thought energy in the field of the universe. And when that happens, life will come in and try to create balance forcefully because you're trying to manipulate the result forcefully. Reality is a mirror. It reflects our internal world. Okay? When you understand this, the next part to this is going to be learning how to redirect your attention and to focus on the right thing. So let's get right to that. But before I get to that, I want to quickly announce you can access our exclusive email list. You can click on a little I up here, which will take you right there. I can share stuff in there that I can't really share on the channel because of YouTube's platform limitations. You know, some daily thoughts I have weekly. I write these 2 weekly emails, and you can also get access to other bonus materials like our Identity Shifting Bootcamp, which in fact you're going to receive as soon as you join. So you can just click a little I up here somewhere to join, and I'll see you right there. So let's get back to understanding the quality of attention and how it affects our life. So for most people, what they do is they focus on what they don't want. When the game becomes too serious, we start focusing on what we don't want to happen. We have this pit of anxiety in our solar plexus area or our gut area, and we are constantly focused on, oh, please don't let that happen. Don't let my worst case scenario come to mind. And what's interesting though is when you get to that state of anxiety and fear, you start to become anxious and fearful about everything. Things that you used to be able to easily brush off, now that makes you fearful. Now it just feels like there's no end in sight. It just keeps piling up more and more and more. I know this because I've experienced it and I've overcome it. And I still go through it sometimes, but I know how to deal with it, which is exactly what I'm going to show you. Because if you reside in this state, you're going to attract more and more of the things that complement that state. You're going to attract more and more of unwanted, undesired situations in your life, in your business, in your marriage, relationship, whatever it may be. The things that you don't want to happen will start to happen because you feel that way and you negatively perceive it. Because, guess what? We manifest outcomes in the unity of our mind and our heart. Whatever we think, even if it's good or bad, doesn't matter, and we're united within feeling of fearfulness. I think about getting something really bad in the mail, or getting sued, or getting, a bill from the IRS, or getting an unexpected bill, or, having a disgruntled customer, then that's exactly what's going to happen. I feel fearful about it, then that's the likelihood that that happens is very, very high. So the mission is for you to redirect your attention from what you don't want to what you do want. Okay? Stop being afraid of what you don't want and instead become grateful for what you do have and what you do want. To give you an example of this, when I started my business, I remember I wanted to start up a coaching business, but my initial thought was, why would someone pay a 20-year-old who's making these videos online, who hasn't really lived life yet according to other people's terminology of how life should be lived, why would someone pay this guy for coaching? Why? Guy barely even graduated college. These are the doubts and fears that would come up. And when these doubts and fears came up, I could only see comments on my YouTube videos that were all negative. I could only see comments that matched that thought and that frequency, right? Until I redirected my focus to what I actually wanted to see. So for you in your life right now, you're facing a block in the area of your life that you want to succeed in, because you're focusing on what is unwanted, okay? One way in which you can overcome that is take a piece of paper, make 2 columns. On the left-hand column, write down unwanted, and on the right-hand column, write down wanted. And I want you to list 3 to 5 things that you're focusing on right now. Be honest, that you don't want to happen, that you're dreading. I don't want my business to fail. I don't want another employee to quit. I don't want this deal to fall through. I don't want this to happen in my marriage. I don't want to, have this tough thing happen as I'm going through this divorce. Whatever it is, focus on that. Go ahead, pause this video, write that down. Now what I want you to do is create empowering thoughts or beliefs from that. Reframe what you just took and what you don't want, and on the right-hand column, write down what you do want. Instead of I don't want debt, write down I want to be debt-free. I am debt-free. I imagine myself debt-free. I don't want my business to fail. I want my business to make XYZ amount of money a month. Okay? I don't want my marriage to fail. I want a successful, happy, healthy marriage. Write down what would be the reframe, the empowering belief that helps you reframe the disempowering or the limiting belief. That's the only way to do it. You have to redirect your attention to what is wanted. And a key method we teach our clients is what's known as accept and redirect. Because what most people do is when they have a limiting belief, they immediately start fighting it. They say, oh no, oh my God, don't think about that. That's really bad. You're afraid of your own thoughts. How fucking ridiculous is that? It's just a thought. It can do nothing to you. Okay, this thought arose. That's completely fine. This thought too has the permission to exist. You must accept it. Change can only happen from a place of acceptance. Because if you keep resisting it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feed it. It's going to grow more and more. Okay? So if I have a thought that I don't like, oh no, why did I think that? No, it's okay. This thought too is allowed to exist. What do I want instead? That's what most people don't understand. And that's why they never get results. Because most people are too busy fighting. They're fighters. I'm not interested in fighting. I'm interested in just choosing what I want. I don't care about what's happening in this current moment. It's already done. It's going to become past. I'm focused on what I would like to see in the next moment and enjoying what I have now. There's 2 ways to look at life. The glass is either half full or half empty. Whatever it is you look at and focus on is what you will receive more of. The choice is yours. Now, to create empowering beliefs and properly understand beliefs, we have to understand the true difference between faith and belief. So let's get right to that right now. How would you define faith? If you heard the word faith, what is the definition of faith? It's quite difficult, isn't it? Faith is what presupposes belief. It happens before belief actually comes, okay? Faith is trust in the unknown and unseen, okay? Unknown plus unseen. Belief is trust in the known and seen. What do I mean by that? Roger Bannister was the very first person to break the 4-minute mile barrier. Before that, no one thought it was possible. The whole world thought human beings were just made to never run a 4-minute mile. That's where it just happens to cap out. Roger Bannister breaks the 4-minute mile. After he does that, high schoolers start to break the 4-minute mile. What the heck? What gives? Do you want to know what gives? Faith. Roger Bannister tapped into the power of faith. The power of faith is what activates this power within us called outer intention. The intention that belongs to us, but is also united with the higher intention, God's intention. When we work together with God and divinity, we create things that are beyond our wildest dreams. And there's a great book on this called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, who surrendered completely to the flow of life. And he went from $1,000 a month as a college teacher to somehow running a $200 million business, a $200 million software business. And he just surrendered to the flow of life and spent all day meditating and doing the thing that he loved to do and working hard at it, treating it like a game, right? Guess what happened? He used faith. Then now he has a $200 million business. And this is just simply trust in the unknown and unseen. Before the known and seen can happen, it is coming from an unknown and unseen source. In one of my last videos, I talked about the causal chain and how, for most people, it appears linear. A leads to B, leads to C, right? Okay, sure, that's the illusion. Where do A, B, and C even come from? There's a hidden source from where A, B, and C are arising and appearing this way. There's a hidden source that manifested these particles that are A, B, and C and made them appear this way. Has it ever happened to you, maybe a miracle? Something that just defied conventional logic. Just doesn't make sense how this happened. Just doesn't make sense how, I started a YouTube channel and all of a sudden, someone reached out to me for coaching and I had the idea to start a coaching business and I started to pitch my coaching services, and then all of a sudden, clients started to reach out to me for coaching. And prior to that, 2 years prior to that, I wanted to make $20K a month. And after 6 months, 7 months, 8 months of starting my coaching business, I made my first $20,000 a month. I was able to leave my full-time job and do what I love every single day, and now make over $1 million a year doing this, the thing that I love, and have wealth and abundance that I couldn't have even imagined. It's beyond my wildest dreams, beyond my wildest imagination. What happened? Faith. Faith is the destroyer of doubt. Belief cripples you to the world of logic, seen. Belief is inner intention, our personal intention that is devoid of outer intention, okay? You're not using the godly intention when you're relying on just belief. It's necessary, absolutely. But what's even more powerful is when you tap into faith. I can try to create my goals, and it will happen. It will be much quicker if I leave it to divine. If I say to myself, God, universe, I really want this. If it is meant for me, deliver it to me. If not, I trust that you have something better in store for me. It's a great book on this. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Florence Scovel Shin. The Game of Life and How to Play It. The Game of Life. This is a game. You're a character. Don't forget that. Anytime you forget, start to show yourself that. Whatever your attention is on, you create more of. If you're focusing on what you don't want, create those 2 columns. Get clear on what you're focusing on right now. Write it down. You get more clarity when you write it down. Then reframe it to what you do want. Faith. Cultivate faith. How do you cultivate faith? Become comfortable in the unknown and the tension or discomfort. So for my client who wants to go for the management consulting job, he doesn't feel confident. He tenses up every time he thinks about it. What does he need to do? He needs to become comfortable in that discomfort, in that tension, and act anyways. If you think about doing something and it makes you so uncomfortable, but you know it's the right thing to do, that is the thing that's your next edge. People talk about doing their hard work and their uncomfortable thing first thing in the morning, their cold plunges, etc. But after a certain point, all of these gurus who are preaching hard work to you and be uncomfortable, they're actually very, very comfortable following their boring little routine. It's a very comfortable routine. But anytime you displace them, you tell them to not do a day of work, they start panicking, they start getting all itchy. At that point, it's actually harder for them to take a day off. That's their next edge, to let go of control. You have to know what your next edge is. You can't be listening to David fucking Goggins all day, who is, really comfortable doing the uncomfortable thing now, and just think, all right, that's what I need to do. I need to be more uncomfortable. That's easy for you to do. What's harder for you to do right now might be easing your grip. Oh my God, I've never done this. Is really unknown. This is unknown for me. Typically, when you're doing the right thing, it's unknown. It's territory that you haven't explored yet. It's like a new muscle. It's like, oh, I've never felt this before. I've never really thought like this before. I've never really done this before. It's uncomfortable and it's unknown. Become comfortable in the unknown. When you start doing that, faith is going to be the only tool that will help you through it. And there will be no choice but to cultivate faith. there will be no choice but to have trust in the unknown and unseen. That somehow there is a higher self, a higher being, an entity that is much more intelligent than you, taking care of you. It might not be an entity, it might just be the universe, whatever you want to call it. But there is something out there looking after you, okay? When we bring all of this together, we arrive at a concept called identity. It is who I view myself to be. When you shift your identity, instead of trying to change yourself, you shift into a different version of yourself, you begin to experience a different reality. The reason why we're getting the kind of results we are for our clients, where you see people come in making 10, 20K a month, and we have clients who are making $1 million a month, $1 million a month. Insane. It's because they've completely shifted who they are and how they view themselves. A permanent result is only possible when you no longer view yourself as how you used to view yourself. You've become a completely different person. You've become unrecognizable. When your relatives and your old friends come to, see you again, they won't recognize you. They won't recognize who you are. You've resurrected, like Jesus Christ did, as a new version of yourself. I made a comprehensive movie explaining the process of identity shifting, the mirror principle, and what will really help you make this permanent shift. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. It's pinned, or click one of the links here. It will take you right there. So just click right here, and that 25-minute, 30-minute movie also comes with a guide that will really help you out. So I'm looking forward to seeing you at the movie right now.